It's saying the broadcast was deleted on Facebook. I'm sorry if anyone can't see this on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Clover Notes.
Let's go! Let's go!
I am your host, Miss Clover Nova, and I am joined with my lovely co-host, Mrs. Coco. How are you doing, Mrs. Coco? And also, our third co-host is Mr. Antonio G. How are you?
Yo, what's up?
Okay, so you guys following up on Facebook. I don't know why it's saying that the broadcast is deleted on Facebook, but it is. So if anybody has any issues with viewing this on Facebook, please let me know. Let me know now. And we'll fix that later. So you guys know the title of this is about credit. We're talking Credit-Ology with a licensed credit specialist, Mrs. Daphne Brice.
That's right.
But before we dive in there, like always, we talk about our weekend. So listen, how was you guys' weekend? I'll start with Mr. Antonio today. How was your weekend, Mr. Antonio?
Child, talking about the weekend. Let's see. So I went out of town for a business trip and down in Minneapolis. No. And while I was down in Minneapolis, I was supposed to have flown out on Friday. And we got on the plane. Let me back up. They canceled our flight, reinstated the flight. Canceled the flight again, then reinstated it again. We got on the plane. We sat on the plane. They taxied us over to get the ice. Then after about 45, 50 minutes, then they took us back to the gate again and stated that somebody on the plane wasn't supposed to be there. So we're like, ain't this a bunch of hogwash? Okay. So after they escorted the individual off the plane, that took about an hour. Then they come to realize that the pilots have reached their capacity to fly. They have a certain limit of hours they can fly within 24-hour time limit, and our pilots have reached that. So they had to let the pilots off and look for new pilots. So they had to sit and wait for about another 30, 35 minutes.
And
At this point,
what airlines is this again?
I don't, no shade. You know, I don't want to put no shade in out there on nobody.
I mean, the truth is the truth.
But the truth is the truth. If you know your Greek alphabet, it comes before epsilon. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, what happened was after that whole, they left off the plane and then whatever, got tickets overnight somewhere. Next morning, flew out. Finally got home. Right, but in the minute of all of that, I end up missing my time with my children. We supposed to have went out to go see Wakanda Forever together as a family, and we couldn't do it. So I went late on that night with myself and my co-host Coco. We made it work and missed herself, Clover. You know, we made it work. We did a virtual movie thing together as cast members, so that was awesome.
Yes.
But that was my weekend. Then I cleaned up all day on Sunday.
Okay. Weekend cleanings are the necessity.
It's mandatory.
Yeah. So I've definitely I don't know, it was chill for the most part, but I was really the highlight of my weekend was definitely going to see Wakanda Forever. I didn't see it Friday, but I got to see it, and it was good. It was really good. It was everything. It was exciting. It was sad. It was suspenseful. It was all the feelings, and I highly recommend that movie, especially the ending. Oh my God! You know, every Marvel movie, There's this
Mm-hmm.
at the end where you have to stay after the credits, and I was seeing people get up and leave, and then everyone was in the audience was like, "See, that's not a Marvel fan. That's not a Marvel.
Mm-mm.
That's
Right.
not."
They weren't ready.
Because you know,
They
after
weren't
every
ready.
Marvel, and most of the majority of the people were just sitting there watching the credits. They was waiting for the last part. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. But if you were wondering if you should go see the movie, you should go see the movie. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, yesterday, I made my mom some oxtails. I don't eat oxtails. She loves oxtails, right? It's
Mm.
oxtails, white rice, and I made a listen, y'all heard of banana pudding? I
Mm-hmm.
made a banana graham pudding. Okay, so that's a layer of graham crackers, a layer of bananas. You pour the pudding over it. Then you put a layer of graham crackers, then a layer of pudding, then a layer of vanilla wafers, then a layer of bananas. Then so it was a banana graham pudding, and my mom is currently sitting at home waiting on me to come back over there to give her some more.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Let me tell you how this came. Wait, let me tell
I
you how this
can't
came
say.
about. I'm gonna tell you how this came about. Okay,
I can't
this came
say.
about because I had this big, huge pan,
Uh-huh.
and I had a full box of vanilla wafers, and I ran
Uh-huh.
out when I got close to the top. I ran out. So I'm
Uh-huh.
like, and then at the bottom where the crumbs be at, I
Yeah,
took
yeah, yeah.
the crumbs on top, trying to make. I was like, no, it's still missing something.
Uh-huh.
I took
Uh-huh.
the box of graham crackers and I just cut them in fours and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
placed them on it. It's a hit.
And it
It's
was it.
the cinnamon graham
Okay.
crackers.
Okay, the
The ones
cinnamon
with
ones.
cinnamon on top.
Mm-hmm. Cinnamon sugar. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm on to something. Don't steal my idea. You heard it here first on KNN.
Too late. What about you, Coco? What did you do, Miss Coco?
I did absolutely nothing. I am currently under the weather. So we did nothing this weekend. We hung out. Happy belated birthday to my mother-in-law who celebrated.
Happy
Oh, birthday
birthday.
to you. Hey, happy birthday to you.
Happy
Happy birthday. Hey.
Happy.
Happy.
Let it go. Let it
That's a
go.
colorful version. That's a colorful version. Y'all know.
Okay.
So yeah, that was pretty much it. We just really sat in the house. But it's some kind of book that is going around. Baby
Cool.
girl stayed home today with me because of it. And she woke up and was like, "Mommy, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to get the other kids sick."
Oh,
Yeah, she's a very caring little kid. As
all
much
right for being intuitive.
she was just like, you know what, I need to stay home today. So she just woke back up from getting up this morning, eating, taking some meds. So yeah.
That's
Nice.
good.
Very nice.
That's good. I hope everyone is feeling better today than yesterday. I know this time of year is the time when the seasons change and allergies flare up and all kind of things start happening. So yeah, so
Hmm.
you guys keep that tea nearby. Keep that tea, them lemons, and
That's right.
all your medicines and all that, because it's. I mean,
Hmm.
especially if you're in the Midwest, the upper
If you
Midwest.
are sick, stay home
Yes.
That part.
Oh, and
That
and
part.
home from school, home from work, all that.
and
Please.
babies home.
COVID
Like,
is not over with. It's just not an epidemic, but it's still here.
yeah. So wash your
Mhm.
hands. Sanitizer don't always work. Get a little soap and water. Wash those hands. So yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Please do. Please do.
Okay. So now that that's out the way, back to the theme of credit. What does credit mean to y'all,
Hmm.
Mrs. Coco? What does credit mean to you when you hear like credit score and stuff like that? What does that mean to you?
It means everything. Credit is so important. My auntie Sandra has been talking credit since I could remember, like very early age. She was talking about credit, credit, credit. And it's just like, okay, sure, like whatever. As an adult, it's like, wait a minute, credit is important. This actually came about because I had mentioned that on the last show that my husband and I purchased our home. I think I was 19 or 20. So a lot of people like, well, wait, how is that even possible? it is possible.
It's possible.
It's
But
impossible.
important to know your scores. I am so excited to have the queen, the goats, Miss Daphne coming in the building today to give
Mhm.
more tips on credit and the reason why it's important. And y'all listen, Credit Karma, it's a good app to have.
I have it.
Trust, I have it too, but they are not
Mhm.
your scores. So
Yeah.
she'll touch on it when she come in, but don't try to run and get a house and try to get a car thinking your Credit Karma scores are your true scores. You'll be
There's
very
so many.
disappointed. But credit means everything to me. My husband and I are up there with numbers. I actually invested in myself um, some product from Daphne herself.
Oh,
Good.
okay.
She sold me the tea. I drank the tea. And
Okay.
again, I sit in my 4-bedroom home right now, thanks to Miss
Yes.
Daphne. Because
Okay.
again, it's just like when you
That's
know
right.
better, you do
That's what's important.
Okay, Antonio, what does
everything.
credit
Very
mean to you?
Credit means everything. Credit means stability. Credit means legacy, right? Credit means, institutional and financial wealth. It means
Mhm.
family legacy building. If that too, I think what I love, what I heard Miss Coco just stating that her aunt just really instilled in her as a very young age, and from as far as she can remember, is credit, 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 credit. I think those are the great things, and that's what I feed to my children as well. Is that this is why you need to do this, even in the lessons around the house. Right. And like, do you have credit for that? I don't think your credit allows you to have that extra piece of candy out of the cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unlike you guys,
So,
I didn't get the credit.
so those type of things is what just start to keep in mind.
Yeah, I didn't get the credit information that I should have gotten. So this show right here is going to be very beneficial to me and hopefully a lot of other people too who have not grew up with the understanding of what credit is and the importance of credit. I've for the majority of my life, you have money, you spend it. You don't have it, you don't have to spend it. I did know about credit scores. I didn't know how impactful it is to your well being and your stability as far as living.
Mhm.
And I wish I would have known way beforehand to invest in myself for my future. But listen, there's no better time than what? Right now to get
Indeed.
some knowledge about credit. So what no matter what your age is, that your score can be worked on. You can improve your score, and we have the perfect specialist to help you guys answer any of your questions you may have about credit. Um, I saw myself last night. I was gonna write some questions down, but then my spirit was like, "You got this." So I woke up and I'm definitely just gonna go on into this into this interview, just freestyling my questions. But if you guys have questions on YouTube, please state your questions on YouTube. For some reason, it's saying we're not live on Facebook. So for that, I apologize if you guys are watching this after the fact. You can still put your questions in YouTube. We'll send them over to Daphne and see if she can answer them. We can get back to you on those questions. Or maybe she'll monitor the broadcast afterwards. I don't know. Um, I don't really have any other installational content for 12:30. So we're going to just bring in the credit specialist herself, Mrs. Daphne Brice. Welcome, Daphne Brice, to the
So,
Guys,
all right.
Hi, Miss
show.
hopefully
Daphne.
you can see me.
We can
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Right.
popping time.
Hey, lips. All right. I
Yes,
love that lip, that red lip, and those.
it's
Come on through. You are giving.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Just gorgeous.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am 50, so I don't look like 50, so I
what?
appreciate that.
Girl, well, you know how we do. I'm just saying. Hey, just saying. Hey, that's right.
Given.
Melanin be popping.
Absolutely.
Well,
So,
thank you so much for coming on. We greatly appreciate you. To those that are watching, I've been following Daphne for years. I thought I was ready to get a new house when thought I was ready, but obviously Credit said, no, you're not. You have this, you have that. When I tell y'all, I started following Daphne on Credit-Ology 101 LLC. It was amazing. She's so attentive, y'all. Like I'm like, hey, cousin, it's me again. Without hesitation, she responds right away, like, okay, no problem. Do this, do that. And like I said on the last show, I was able to buy a new home again, thanks to all the tips that Daphne helped me with. And she's not like just money hungry. You know, you go to some person, they're like, well, just give me this money. I'll do this. Daphne like, no, do it yourself. You can buy this, do that. And guess what? Here I sit. So I salute you. Thank you so much for it's important. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. It is one of the things that, when I am a preacher's kid. And so,
come on, PK.
Thing that I do, what you hear about the PKs is true. You just confirmed it. I just confirmed it for you, so it is true. But so anything that I try to do it God led. And so I am in the credit repair business because God has me here. I'll be quite honest with you. I actually, my background is in engineering. I have a master's degree in aviation. I've designed airports for a living, bridges.
I love it.
So, I also majored in architectural and civil engineering. And so I did that for the last years. Never, ever, 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 ever wanted to do anything with credit. I learned to repair my credit. Probably, I'm dating myself, but hey, I already told you I'm 50, right? So, but I learned credit when I built my first house in 2000. I built my first house in 2006. Which I currently have, and I'm using it as rental property. I was using it as rental property. I'm about to sell it, but so I learned credit years and years ago. But it was something I knew, but I did not want to venture into as a business. And so God deals with me in threes, right? So I had three separate people come to me and say, people need what you have. And up till then, I thought it was just general information. I'm like, what? But everybody knows this, right? Right. I mean, like everybody knows about an authorized user or, how to get and maintain credit. Like, it went over my head. It didn't strike me as it was information that maybe people did not have ready access to. And so when the third person, being a mortgage lender, told me that, I was like, okay. I told my husband, who's now deceased, but I told him, I said, God wants me to do something with this. And so here I am. And so when Coco said that, I do it and I do it without, saying, hey, let me charge you $1 million. That's where that comes from, because I feel like when you give, God will give back to you.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's what it's about for me.
That's awesome. If I can, I just want to give props first, real quickly, before we move on into the topic, and that is, I love seeing beautiful, Black, intelligent, smart businesswoman like yourself. I think that's awesome that you filled that space of engineering. And I'm sure there were a lot of firsts and solo meetings you were attended in being in that space. And I think that's just awesome.
Let's make that a hashtag, Nova.
Yeah, that's right.
Hashtags, being a double
That's right. I'm saying, oh my goodness.
Coco's on that right now.
Thank you so
Right?
much. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It
I
was
know
hard.
it was challenging.
It
Yeah,
was.
I know it was challenging.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you on that. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think this is I said it yesterday. I think this is the era of a lot of Black queens taking power positions and doing things. Because for so long, we weren't able to. We didn't have the resources. We didn't have the funding. We didn't have the power to like take that position. And I think now you're seeing more than ever, like there's first Black female this and that and this and that. So it's good to support that. And it's good as a Black man that you're supporting that and congratulating because they don't get that as much either.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely. You get all these flowers, honey. Get them now. Take them. They are en route.
So if y'all see me looking over here, I'm trying to fix this Facebook issue. So don't mind. Okay, I'm not ignoring the show. We just got a little
No
key.
worries.
I want to start off by asking, I think the general question of the show is why, from your perspective, is credit important? Having good credit important?
I think that all you guys touched on it. Credit is wealth. Great credit can break generational curses and generational financial curses. And so
That's right.
That's one of the biggest things for me because everything starts with money, right? And so growing up, my dad was a millionaire in the 80s. And so he did not believe in credit. He paid everything cash. And so I did not get the credit piece. Only thing I got from him was don't do it. Don't credit cards, don't put anything on credit, cash is king. But the only thing about it is that in order to have good credit, you have to be in debt.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were taught by their parents who were taught by their parents, okay, don't go out and get into a lot of debt. And so therefore, you don't have good credit because you don't have any debt. And so I don't see debt as a bad thing. I see it as a tool to get me to the things that I want, right? And it's management of debt, but having great credit is the vehicle to get you to anything that you want. I mean, it's going to be a house, car, credit cards. I have over $200,000 in available credit on credit cards. My personal scores are in the 800s across the board, FICO 8s. You name it, I can go and get it, right? So I have zero. Yeah, that is my credit card score. Excuse me. That's my current credit card score. So there's different credit cards. Any credit card I want, I can pretty much get approved for. People like to say that credit scores go up to 850. As you can see, I have an 853. Your credit card scores actually go to 900. And so, whether it's an auto, car, house, credit cards, whatever, those are my auto scores currently.
Okay.
And then mortgage scores, my mortgage FICOs. That's where so if I were to go and try to buy a house now, what they do with your mortgage scores is they use your mid mortgage FICO score. So they would drop my highest and my lowest scores, and then they would use the one that's left over. So if I wanted to get a mortgage, they would use a 788 mid mortgage FICO score to calculate my interest rate. And I will, since I am talking about mortgages, when interest rates, my husband and I, we built a new home in 2019. We locked 3.7% interest rate. But we were able to finance, again, because of good credit. I actually have 2.625.
All right. So I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, I'm never. So Jesus will be back before I refinance.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Especially now with this, how everything increased.
Absolutely. So credit is the vehicle that's going to get you to the things that you want in life, whether it's a job. Some jobs are running credit as well. A new home, a new car, just whatever is important to you and your family. It's going to be the
Mhm.
vehicle that's going to get you there.
Okay.
That is awesome. I had a question for. I know you mentioned this to tie into that question there. You mentioned that, to have good credit, you have to have debt, and I think that term or that statement it may need a little bit more explanation on it because I know, we were brought up that we were all pretty much in the same era here. So you're not too far removed at 50 from us. I just want to throw that out there. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I'm right behind you.
I was
Okay.
right behind you, way too far now. But we would have went to high school together. I'm just saying. But but it's interesting you say that because I know that our parents, always taught us, or the generation before us always stated those things of you don't never want to owe anybody. Don't owe nobody, right? So that's where the cash part came in because I know that my parents as well always pay cash. If you want to pay it all off, so I don't have to worry about it. Just get rid of it. Here go my money. Let me save my money. I put my money in my shoebox or underneath my mattress or put it, wherever you place it, and then go and pay with cash. And I know part of that has to deal with not being able to get bank accounts, right? Back in the day, we weren't really allowed to have those privileges to open up bank accounts. And then the other part of that is just the fear of being in debt to someone. And that's because of bookies and things of that nature. I know that comes from that a little bit as well. So when you say you have to be in debt, can you expound it out just a little bit, please?
Sure. So I look at debt as not necessarily a bad thing. So when I speak of debt, I mean you're gonna owe somebody. And if
Right.
you're trying to buy a home, you're trying to get a car, anything like that, unless you're paying cash, right?
Mhm.
You can pay cash for, your cars and things of that nature. But when it comes to buying a home, how many people have thousands of dollars saved? Hundreds of thousands
Hundreds, yeah.
saved. And so
Mhm.
that's where the issue comes in. And so, yes, you can save up and, buy your car or, whatever, go get your furniture or whatever it is you may want. You can save. And I do use some of both, right? Some things I just pay cash and some things I put on credit because I realize how instrumental credit is. But when it comes to purchasing a home, which is typically your average home is what? 300,000?
Mhm.
And so that's a lot of cash to have saved up. And so, quite
Mhm.
honestly, a lot of people don't, which means that you're going to need a loan. Well, if
Mhm.
you paid everything cash, if you bought your car on cash, if you don't have any credit cards, if you have not proven, when I say debt, I mean you have not proven that you can purchase something and pay it off within a certain
Mhm.
time. And so
Yep.
once you do that, that's how your credit worthiness is tied into your credit score. And so your credit score is based on your credit worthiness. And so by getting into debt, you're showing people that you are worthy, credit worthy, and you have the ability to pay off the debt. And so, I mean, just think about it. If you have a friend that wants to borrow $350,000. Are you going to loan somebody who you don't know if they can pay back their debts? What's the problem?
Exactly.
Not at all. First of all, what made you ask me that much money anyway?
So, that's where the debt comes in. And when you get into debt, you're showing that you are credit worthy. And
Yeah.
so that really, you typically see that play into part, or take part, I guess you should say, come into play with cars and houses.
Yeah. I love that. Thank
So
you for breaking that up.
who knew that? I would have never guessed that getting in debt is good to establish credit.
Yeah, but I love the part. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Miller.
No, I was just gonna say because some people when I filed bankruptcy, I think it was 2015, they told me you haven't had enough credit established, and I was like, well, there's nothing on my report. Like, why is that a negative thing?
Yeah.
I should be throwing cars and stuff at me now, but I've realized how to apply for credit cards, how to pay some stuff off, and credit history was very important. Just
Absolutely.
establishing some kind of paper trail saying
Absolutely.
that I've been paying on something. So
Yeah.
that's
And then,
good information.
and credit mix ties into a high credit score too. There's something that's called a credit mix, right? So they're looking for the people with the higher credit scores have a really good credit mix. And so they have a good credit mix. Now, you don't have to get 14 credit cards like I have, but hey, I did it. I have 14 credit cards. True story. I do have access to $200,000 in available credit on credit cards. However, I only owe $100 on one.
Oh, look at that.
That's right.
Again,
Come on, that's the rate. That's right.
Go.
It's all about managing, and then that fear, though, as Antonio speak of, that fear of being in credit card debt. It's tying into how I move with my credit cards. And so I'm very mindful. Yeah, you have $200,000, but I mean, why go just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Sure. Come on.
But back to the credit card mixture, they want to see that you have a mixture of installment loans, which would be like your car or your house, if you have a home, if you have a mortgage, or your revolving debt, which is your credit card debt. So they want to see that you have a great mixture of those two. And so if somebody just goes out and they only get revolving, well, they're missing the installment debt that they're also looking for. So you want to know that you pay revolving line of credit and installment debt on time.
Okay.
There you go. I love that last piece. Thank you for tossing that in. On time payments is important.
On time. Absolutely.
Oh, that's right.
You know what? I've always kept my credit cards under 10% because I have quite a few as well, but I keep them under 10%. And I just learned, what you tell me, Miss Daphne, under 3%?
3%. I was about to say.
The sweet spot is between 6 and 7%.
Okay.
Of your higher FICO score, people will have between 6 and 7. I keep mine between 6 and 7. That's a sweet spot for me. And then when it comes to like what I put on a card, I will only spend, like, for example, I have a Navy Federal card that's $30,000, right? The most I will spend on any card is 10% of whatever the overall limit is, and that's it. And so that particular card, if I were to put $3,000 on it, that's it. I cannot use that card for anything else or any other card that I have in my wallet until I pay that debt down. So that's just kind of like how I move. I have a 10% rule. And so I've already calculated whatever the 10% is for all of my cards. I can ramble them off. And once I get to that, I'm like, okay, let me stop. Let me pay this down. And then I'll start, using another card or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing, the discipline of it all. Because when I first got my credit cards, I was told 30%, stay under 30%. I think I had a $300 card, and they said,
now 30% is true. 30%. Yeah. And I guess if Coco, can you pull that the breakdown of the FICOs up for me? 30% is true. So where they get the 30% is the amount of debt owed is 30%, right? So when you hear people talk about, okay, stay under 30%. If, for example, I think I calculated mine, I can put like $70,000 on my credit cards and my FICO scores won't move. I think there's a credit score breakdown one. You may not have that one, but it is 30%. So that's where you're getting that 30% from. It accounts for 30% of your overall FICO scores. Now, that is the highest you ever want to be on a credit card is 30%. Okay. Anything over that, now your utilization is high, which means it's affecting your scores. Okay. So 30% is the maximum, not the mean. Okay. If you're 30%, you're still too high, to be quite honest. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm well over that, but I'm working. I'm a work in progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my main things is I don't know, I'm overspending. I'm living beyond my means, so to speak.
That's why Miss Daphne is here too.
Yes. Yeah. So my question is, what is one of the biggest mistakes you can make when trying to establish credit? What's the biggest mistake you can make? Because I felt it was like having too many credit cards. Because once it starts going up, the credit card offers start coming in. You're pre-approved for this, and I'm like, I don't want to have too many credit cards. But is having a lot of credit cards good or bad? I don't know.
Well, I have 14, but I only owe $100.
Yeah.
It is, I
Mm-hmm.
think, it is individual based.
Okay.
It does come down to the individual. So the reason that I have so many cards is because I want that 30%, right? So say something happened, God forbid, or who knows, I may want to fund a business venture
Right.
on my credit cards.
Because I do.
Fund a business venture on my credit cards, and that's another reason why I have access to 200,000, to be quite honest. But I do still have business credit. But let's say if like we were talking about fixing flipping homes, I can literally
Mm-hmm.
put that on a credit card or on credit cards, fix and flip and pay my cards off, right? So that's a strategy that I have in mind. You want to use other people's money, but and even though I digress, but here, so I have 14 cards. And I do have access to $200,000, but I can literally put about $70,000 on my credit cards across the cards, and my FICO scores will not move out of the 800s. And so that's why I have so many. And so that's what.
Okay. So collectively, you could take these monies off the cards and put them on another card.
Or just use it and charge them up. I can charge up $70,000 and my FICO scores will still be the same. And I'm utilizing that 30% rule because it helps. I got more credit cards because it helps with my credit card utilization. So the more available credit you have, the lower your utilization is, which is why I can put $70,000 on something and still be okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
So more is not necessary.
That's a rate.
It just depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there yet, but hopefully one day I could say something like that to the tune.
Oh yeah, you
no. Yeah, no, I love that. Listen, my husband and I, when we first initiated and started to put things together, that was one of our things, is making sure we have financial stability. And within that itself, I think we have our home that we stay in, and we have 2 rental properties as well that we utilize. And then one of the goals and thoughts of that is to make sure as our kids begin to age into driving age or become driving age, that we can just go out and get them a little lemon or whatever and then send them on their way. But in that same, circling back to the vein about just a credit card and a number of credit cards to tie into Clover Nova's question, what are your thoughts when it comes to, because this is a practice in which we do, in adding your kids to your credit card as authorized users at a young age to start to build their credit?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And it's one of the things that I preach. Now, I often tell people, if you're somebody who lacks discipline, you don't pay your bills on time, then that strategy is not for you. What you don't want to do is put your kids on your cards, and then you are, as an authorized user, and then you're paying your debt, paying it late, because that is going to go on their credit report. Your record is now becoming their record. And so I only suggest that for people who are really disciplined. I have my son on all of my cards, and he's piggybacking off of all of my scores. And so that is one of the tools that I utilize. And actually, Coco and I talked about it. And I think maybe about 15, depending on the individual, because life happens, right? Maybe, okay, so now they have 3 years, they're writing off your scores. And I will share something. There is I learned about authorized user from a Caucasian gentleman who was actually my boss. And so I would wonder, okay, I'm going to school for engineering, I'm busting my butt. And so I see these kids that they don't look like me. Yeah. They graduate. They have this phenomenal job, and now they're buying this house. I'm like, you just
we were just
authorized
next to me.
So because their parents made them authorized users. And if you really think about college, they'll say, "Oh, I have my parents' card. I have my card. So they're
Yeah.
authorized users on those cards. And so when they go to college, they're already set up. The only thing they need to do is just pass, get a great job, and now they're buying. They got the house and they got the car, and they're what 22?
Yeah.
They got 350,000 and up house, brand new cars, but they're able to do that because their credit is already established. And they have that credit age, because in credit ages is the longevity of credit is a great thing as well. So they have that because their parents put them on the cards as authorized users earlier. And so it is a tool that it's an underutilized tool in the African American community, but it's one that I always try to preach and let people know, hey, if you know somebody with great credit, not me, but if you know somebody with great credit,
that's right.
Don't go on Facebook hitting up y'all talking about your kid on the K&N show.
Exactly.
My minister, I'll put my son on it because I'd rather make him an authorized user and teach him about credit than to time.
That's right. I love that. Come on, tell it.
I don't do co-signing. So I'm an advocate of putting you on my credit and teaching you about credit so that you never need anybody to co-sign for you. And so, but let's say if you don't want to ask somebody to co-sign, or if you don't know somebody, because when you're older, you don't want to be 50 going to somebody saying, hey, can you put me on your credit card? You know? So, it's a privacy thing, right? And so what I typically tell people is, if you don't know anybody that is willing to do it for you, you can actually buy trade lines. And so there is a company that has a bunch of people who have signed on with them that will allow them to allow other people to be authorized users on their card for like 2 months. You'll get 60 days and for a fee. And so it is a reputable company. And so for me, what I like to do is I like to test the theory. And so I actually did it to see how it would work on the back end before I started
promoting them. Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, I don't need it, but I know that Clover was mentioning that you get the pre-approvals. Well, when your scores get so high, you don't even get the pre-approval. You just get you're approved.
A card in the mail. Like, what is this? How to apply for this?
That's another level I have to reach.
Yeah.
Like, I am not activating this.
I'm telling you, I'm shredding stuff all the time. I'm like, I don't need another card. Like, I don't need nothing. But that's a great point about the authorized user, and it's one that I preach to brown and black people because we don't know it. And but it is a great tool to utilize.
And it's amazing too, is that how it's been publicized in the form of our media. If you think about movies all the time, even go like Clueless is the first one above my head. Oh, this is my daddy's card, but they're authorized users, and that's the reason why in the movies you always see non-black and brown individuals walking around talking about they're utilizing their parents' cards. Absolutely. But that's because they're authorized user. And this is amazing. And that's something I talk to my teenagers about all the time. Like, this is the reason why this happened for them. This is why you see this in those movies. But now we need to really stretch this and bring this into our communities too, of our black and brown individuals. So I love that. Thank you.
And my son, he'll be 33 in January. And so, I'm preaching credit to him as well, because I'm letting him know, hey, if I teach you, then you can turn around and you can teach your kids when you have them, and then your kids can. And that's why I am a big advocate for the DIY credit repair method. I do run a full service credit repair company, so I do actually repair people's credit as well. But I also want to give them the option of doing it themselves. The first thing I'm going to say is I'll find out what they want. And I'm like, well, you can do it yourself. And if they say they want to hire me, then I may or may not take them on as a client. But yeah.
That look was for me, y'all. That look was for me.
That's for everybody. Everybody.
I think, but the first thing that I'll say is, if it's something they can do themselves, I'm like, listen, you don't have to pay anybody. you know, it's simple, simplistic. I'll give them the playbook and tell them what to do, just so that you can teach your kids, and your kids can then go on and teach their kids. And now we're breaking those generational financial strongholds that we all were part of.
Yeah.
I definitely think that should be something taught in schools too. You know, credit literacy.
What I did was, when I say I invested in myself, when I bought the do-it-yourself guide from Daphne, not only was I able to get things together on my report, but it also allowed me to get my husband's credit report equal as mine. And it's simple. You just have to do the work yourself. And like I say, for her to implement something like that to help others, it's just my, because I'm like, wait a minute, why would you ever, give the sauce away? But oh my God, like, to know that I can help, like now I can help my sister, I can help my cousin, I can help my niece. And it's all because I took the time to invest in myself. Our credit wasn't bad, but we knew that in order to get the race that we wanted, we need to just juggle some things around. And when I tell you, I was sending screenshots to Daphne, like, look, this is what the credit card is. She's like, nope, pay that down to this, pay that down.
Yeah.
And I did it. And people
I love that.
Oh my God, it takes forever to make your credit right. But bad credit doesn't happen overnight either. It takes time. So you have to know that rebuilding your credit, it's not an overnight fix. You just have to be willing to do the work.
Yeah.
So I still salute you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I don't know how many times I want to give up, but hearing testimonies, like that, it definitely helps me. And Coco and I had a conversation the other day that just resonated with me and let me know that I'm in the right place at the right time in the right season. It just really encouraged me to continue to do what I'm doing. And it's easy to get to the mountaintop yourself, right?
Yeah.
And get to a certain place of success and not look back because you got yours, right?
Yeah.
So my husband, who's also a PK, I told him, I said, I don't know. I don't want to do this. He said, you know what? He said, it's not about you. Not about you. He said, it's about the others, the people that you're going to help. He said, you got yours. You're here to help other people get theirs. And
That's
so
right.
I was like, ouch.
Yeah.
This time in our economy, the way everything is going, this is a perfect time to be working on self. Anyway, because everything is uncertain, especially now. Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I think, and a lot of, and I hate to say it, but a lot of us as African Americans, once we get to a certain level of success, we don't want people to know what we did to get there. Or it's almost like, if I help Coco, it's going to diminish what I've done. How?
Yeah. That is, that ignorance is so astounding to me. Oh my goodness. It's the competitiveness, and it's not, and I don't truly believe personally, and I wasn't raised this way to believe that this was something that is taught. This is something that has been constructed by externals from our community, that pit us against one another versus us, because we've always been a collaborative spirit. I believe that's in our, it's a part of us. It's in our DNA to be a team and to work as a unit. But over the years, we've had these outside voices that's telling us, if this person get it, then you can't do it, right? Yeah. And then we get into these corporate or these environments where they say, I only have room for one. I've only can support one Black. I only can have one woman. I only can have one man. I only can have one. And he's like, okay, now I have to fight this individual to get in the room, right? But then once you get in the room, you forget about the other person, right? Instead of saying, now let me go in from the inside and root out this cancer so that we can go ahead and make more space, right? For us to come in, more Black and brown individuals to come into the room. And that's something that I think we miss at times. That and the thought of knowing that, if I eat, everybody should be able to eat. So let me go ahead and share this information. So I, again, to go on the backs from Miss Coco and Miss Nova, what they stated before, salute you. Flowers. Thank you so much for continuing this ministry, because you have definitely helped thousands of people. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And and that's what it's all about. I mean, my helping Coco or anybody, I mean, I know where my help comes from. And so, my helping her is not going to diminish. Whatever God has for me is for me, right?
That's right.
I found in life that my blessings come from my giving. And so that's how I operate. And so my helping anybody, it does not diminish anything that God is going to do or has done for me. And so I never look at it that way. And so it's just about sharing knowledge that you have that people don't have. And so I'm a big proponent of doing it. But I can't tell you, when I first started, people would inbox me, oh no, why are you, other credit repair companies and specialists, why are you giving it? Because I gave away, oh my God, I think I gave away about 100 DIY guides. Like, why are you giving away guys? You could sell them. I'm like, but okay, yeah, but anyway, I'm like, because this is what God told me to do. So I did it. And now I'm at a place where I want people to be successful who want to get into the credit repair business. And so now I'm actually going to create a course and give them the sauce on how to start and run a successful, legitimate.
That's right.
Look, like they say in church, legitimate, let that sink in. Touch your neighbor.
Right. Come on.
Credit repair company, and I'm also going to do some mentorship. So when they start, and I won't leave them, I'll hold their hand, and if they have questions about client situations and things of that nature, then I can help them. But I'm excited about that, so that's coming this year.
You heard it here first, okay, and then, folks, you heard it here first now.
I think that's good too. I think that's a test to when you said you have moments when you think, you don't want to do it anymore. If you have a course out there, you're doing it without doing it. If you put all the information there, it's not so much of pressure on you to having to keep reiterating everything over and over again. So I think that's good too. But there's a lot of credit repair companies or institutions that charge you so much, and it's very counterproductive. It's like, I'm trying to get to the point where I can have money, but you wanted me to spend $200 or $300 a month for you to do what you can just tell me what to do myself. It's just a lot. But
I've turned down clients. I'll look at, when I look at what they have on their credit, if it's something that they can do themselves, and I wouldn't personally pay somebody to do, I'll tell them, listen, I can take your money if you want me to take your money. But it's not, you don't need credit repair. You don't need to pay somebody monthly to do this. Here's what you need to do. And I'll let them know what they need to do, where to go to do it, and all of that. And so now if it's somebody that absolutely need it, then I'll let them know that too. But if it's somebody who does not really need credit repair, I'll let them know. If it's something they can do themselves, I'll point them in the direction. And I also, I no longer sell the DIY guides, the manual anymore. She was sad about that. She said, "You mean I can't buy any more guides?" No, I'm actually going to do an ebook, and I'm going to sell it on Amazon.
Okay,
I love that.
Actually designed a DIY software that is free. That is now online. And so it's more of a manual thing. You go in, you pull up your credit report. You can go in and click on whatever you want to dispute, do your reasons. It's all automated now. The old system I had was manual. This one's automated. And then I think the end of this month, the beginning of next month. So when you finish all your letters, you can print them out and mail them yourself. or you can allow the system to mail them for you. And so I'm really excited about that. I released it a couple months ago, I think. And so it's called the DIY, the Credit-Ology DIY, Credit-Ology 101, DIY Credit Repair Accelerator.
Awesome.
Scott, you said DIY. Say it again.
It's the DIY Credit Repair Accelerator. And so, so I'm excited about that. And
Mr. Antonio, if you're pulling that up, go ahead and copy and paste that over to me, please. Thank you.
No, I was trying to add it into the comments. Make sure we get that out to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they can join us on Facebook. We have about 15,000 members in our private Facebook group. Okay. So they can do. I drop a lot of gems. People ask questions, and it's all on, like Coco said, free knowledge. I mean, if I know it, if they have a question, I'm going to answer it. So,
okay.
And Daphne, question: you're on LinkedIn too, as well, correct?
I am not. So I'm on LinkedIn, but if you see me on LinkedIn, you will find my engineering profile.
Okay.
I have not updated my LinkedIn, only because I left. You always want to keep the place that you left guessing, right?
Okay.
So I am on LinkedIn, but it is my engineering profile, and but I'm on all the other platforms. All of them except Twitter. And I think I have my link tree that I gave Coco that has links to the DIY Accelerator, how to join us on Facebook, all of that.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Yesterday, Daphne posed a question. It was a poll on her Credit-Ology 101 Facebook page. And it reads, does credit matter when choosing a mate? Yes or no? And then the second part of the question, would you date or marry someone with a lot of debt and bad credit? Oh, that question there. I was like, she's ready for the show.
Okay, let me be the first to say, okay, I feel like for someone who has bad credit, is that a deal breaker for dating them? It all depends on if they're trying to improve their credit. For me, if they have bad credit, because my credit ain't that good either. But if they don't have the knowledge to fix their credit, I think that's not a deal breaker because we can figure out together. And I think two people. Now, question: a couple, like Coco said, her and her husband worked on theirs together. Is that a slight accelerator for fixing your credit? Like if you have two people working on your credit, like a mate, let's say, let's get yours together, and then we'll get mine together because we'll be able to financially be able to support each other. Or is it better being single, just working on your own credit?
I think if you have a mate and you're looking at longevity, that you do it simultaneously. Reason being, what you don't want to have happen is you get yours up, and then it may have taken you 2 years to get yours up. Now you got to spend 2 more years to get theirs up. So if you do it simultaneously, then you're working towards a common goal in the same direction at the same time. And so with the hopes of being ready, at the same time, especially if you're looking to buy a home. When you're looking to buy a home, if one person makes enough income and you don't need the other person's credit or income, then that's, you can just use yours. But if you have two names on a home, then both people need to be credit worthy and credit ready, because they're going to use the lowest mid mortgage FICO score to calculate your interest rate. So when my husband and I built the house that I'm in now, I think I was at 720 mid and he was at 730 mid mortgage FICO. So they use my 720, and I know you guys are probably winding down, but I will share this. It's very important that you know your scores and not Credit Karma, but your actual FICO scores. When we were building our home, the builder had an incentive that was like a $5,000 incentive. If you use our lender, we'll give you $5,000. And, And so initially we had to have somebody while we were building. So we were like, yeah, we'll use them. And I told my husband, well, it depends on the rate. If they can't give us the best rate, then, we won't. But to get started, we use them. Well, and to make a long story short, when we got ready to close, they wanted to give us a higher interest rate. And I said to them, wait a minute, at a 720 mid-mortgage FICO score, this is the best rate you can give. And he was shocked that I knew what my mortgage FICO scores were, because at that time, mid-mortgage FICO score, and even now, you qualify for the lowest interest rate. And so more of the story, we didn't use them.
Wait, so if you don't know this about your credit score, you can get charged a higher interest rate if you don't know. People can actually do.
Okay. They shouldn't.
Yeah.
Hear that? That's a gem.
That's
know
right.
Your FICO 8 score.
That's right. The mid. Yeah.
And even
an intimidation tactic.
When people are getting auto, how many times do you know? Well, I'm an African American, so I can only talk about me, right? How many times do we go into a car dealership and we sit and wait for them to tell us what we're approved for? And you also wait for them to tell you what your scores are, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Well, what your interest rate is. Well, I walk in already knowing what it is because I want to see what they're going to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how exactly do you find out what your interest rate is going to get a car before you walk into a car dealership?
So with my FICO, it actually tells you based on your current credit score what your potential interest rate will be. Based on, so if you get myfico.com, it gives you all of your scores, and it'll tell you based on your current score, here's what your interest rate, could potentially be. But I like to know what my scores are, and I just go in there, I play dumb, I look cute, and I just sit there, and I just want to see if they give me the BS, then they won't give my business.
That's right. I love it.
Okay.
And see, what I actually purchased a car as well. So because of Daphne, I was able to secure a home this year. Shortly after, my husband and I were like, let's do it. Got a brand new car. Interest rate's amazing right now, especially when we even did it. But we actually secured the loan with the bank. So I went in there and told them what car I wanted. And it's like, oh, well, no, we can get you this. So what's the interest rate? And then we can run your numbers. Well, I don't need you to. Like, it's not any lower than what my credit union got me already. So we were able to drive off the lot. And it's like, a lot of people don't come in doing that. Like, yeah, I know, because when they run your credit at dealerships, they're running it to 10, 20 different lenders trying to get you approved. Stop taking all those hits. It's not necessary. So
that was going to be my next question. Does running all those take?
If you know what's so, and if you're buying a house or buying a car, if you know what your mortgage FICO scores are, it tells you whether you should even go into the dealership. If you got a 500, no.
Yeah.
Just don't. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna scores you see on my FICO is what they're gonna have, and it's gonna tell you, hey, listen, just you're not ready. And so for me, I preach know your scores so that you know when you're ready. People do that when they get a house. They don't know anything about what scores are being used when they try to get a home. They just run down to the lender, and the lender turns them down. Well, truth be told, now you got a hard inquiry, which is a hit to your credit, so your scores go down. But had you gotten my FICO, you would know whether you have a 620 or higher mid-mortgage FICO score, which is most requirements now. And you save yourself some heartburn and heartache and some inquiries.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I hope people are taking these gems and running with them, because there's a lot of information on here that we under an hour, and we have a lot of gems to cover. We don't have to worry about the time. Listen, I'm trying to get all this information out here now. Okay, so about buying a home, I know you said about the auto. Buying a home, what is the FICO score requirement for purchasing a home?
It will be different per lender, per program. If you do like a NACA or something similar, Bank of America has some new program out now where they don't necessarily look at your credit score, but they look at how you pay your bills. Bank of America, I spoke with that gentleman, and he's in Michigan, but they do it all over. It's that new Bank of America program that they came out with. NACA does not look at they don't have a mid score that they go by. But if you go to a traditional lender, typically they're going to, especially during the pandemic, it used to be 580 for conventional. Now it's like 620. Some people are saying they want you to have a 680, which is ludicrous. But most people want you to have a 620 mid-mortgage FICO score. And what that means is that you need to have a higher score than 620. You're going to have one that's lower in order for your mid to hit 620. But most people are looking for a 620 mid. Okay. But 680 or up is where you want to be.
That's what I was about to ask. So, because I don't recommend trying to secure a home loan with a 620 credit score.
It's the highest. You're going to get the highest rate at that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely work on your credit to get it up there. So therefore you don't have to have the high interest rate that's, not really good for anyone. It's just extra money. So
now I will tell you, and Antonio hit on some, so he hit on this, and I'm just going, I'm going to piggyback, right? I'm going to ride it on home.
Let's go.
When it comes to mortgage FICO scores, there is you will find nowhere where they tell you the breakdown of it, how to increase it. And it is you'll see your FICO 8s go up. You'll see your credit card scores go up. You'll see your auto scores go up before you would see your mortgage FICO scores go up. And if you look and that the difference, and they're calculated so much differently, the differences between your FICO 8 and your mortgage score, like my FICO 8s, I'm in the 800s. My mortgage scores, I'm in the 700s. So they are drastically different. And so I'm like, I think on Equifax, I am 50 something points lower. So there's a drastic difference between your FICO 8s and your mortgage FICO scores. And I don't care where you go, you will not see anywhere on the internet, anywhere, that tells you what that breakdown is and how to raise those scores. And I'm inclined to believe it's by design.
Absolutely.
I believe so.
The hardest one to raise. So people often ask me, well, how do you raise your mortgage FICO score? So I have to tell them, just keep doing the things that you know to do. Stop applying for new credit. Pay your bills on time. Keep your credit cards as low as possible. 30% is the maximum. 10% or lower is ideal. Have a great credit mix of credit and have longevity. The longer you have credit, then your scores go up. So I'm in the position now. I don't have any more points that I can get. I've maxed out all the other categories. And so the only thing that I have now, or two things actually, was inquiries, where your inquiries are on your credit for 2 years. And so I said, I want to wait a full 2 years without applying for any credit to see if I'm going to get some points. And so December, I think January will be 2 years. So I'll see a couple points there, but the rest of it is credit age. It's just a waiting game. So getting to 850, I'm pretty much as high as I'm gonna go until age do its thing. And so getting to 850, it'll probably, they say you have to have about 20 years or more of established credit history to hit the 850. And so I have some years to go. So, but I'm you don't have to be in the 800s. Being in 800s is like a personal goal of mine. If you're 780 to 800, you're still going to get pretty much the same interest rates. But being in the 800 club, it was just something about that. So I think realistically, 780 is a great place to shoot for. But I was just a little anal, and I wanted to be in the 800s club. So.
And those take forever to come. You're at 801, and a couple months later, then maybe they take a point, and then you finally get to 802. So they take those points away quicker than they give them to you. So
they do
always.
And Question for you. You said that you had an inquiry on your report. Is there a reason you decided not to remove it off?
I don't have any so I don't have any inquiries within the last 2 years.
Okay.
I'm purposely stopped applying for all new. Well, I didn't need anything, but
Yeah.
besides that point, but I purposely stopped applying for new credit because that's 10% of the FICO score makeup. So I want to see if me going 2 years without applying for any credit, whether I'm getting points in that 10% bucket.
Gotcha.
I would love to see the results of that exercise. I
Yeah.
would love to. So please post that.
I definitely will. So I'm like, do you really get points? Well, we're going to find out in a couple months. So
Yeah,
you're able to confirm or deny.
Well,
that's right.
agree. 2 years, that's a long time, but when you don't need anything, you just have to know, like, I don't need anything. So there's no point in having your credit ran.
Which goes back to the
Absolutely.
discipline, because I
Mhm.
walk in the store and I'm just like, oh, I got this money on this card. I could just buy this, and I'll put it back. I'm just gonna buy it. And then something else comes up, life happens, and
Personal
I'm just
loans
like,
alone, leave them alone. They are not good.
okay, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Actually, I want.
High interest
Okay.
rate too.
Are there any credit cards people should just totally avoid, and why?
I don't think so. I won't say that they're any that they should totally avoid, right? Because building credit depends on your situation. For example, if someone had a bankruptcy, then any credit card you get is going to be a good one. Now, maybe a higher interest rate. No, so it may not be anything that I would think is a great one, right? For me.
Yeah.
But that does not mean it's not great for someone with a bankruptcy, because you have to start over. And that means starting over at any way you can. And so typically for someone who's had a bankruptcy, you'll see them get approved for higher interest rate secured cards.
Yes.
And so, and they
try to avoid
typically
those.
come with a annual fee as
Right.
well. And so, so people are like, oh man, my card has an annual fee. It's a secured card. But yes, it's not great at that point. However, you utilize the tools. Again, it's about getting to that place of great credit. And so you utilize the vehicles and all the tools in your toolbox to get you there. And secured credit cards is a great way of doing what I said earlier, which is showing your credit worthiness. Again, you got to be in debt to have great credit. And so if you've had a bankruptcy, then you want to get the secured card with the higher interest rate, just kind of suck it up, put a tank of gas on it, pay it off, whatever the case may be. And then once your credit scores go up, what you want to do is you want to apply for an unsecured credit card. And once you get the unsecured credit cards, then it's okay to close your secured, because now you have the high interest rate. You also have the annual fee that you're paying. And so you can close out those cards. Now, typically, I always say don't close a credit card except for secured lines of credit. So once for example, I have a client of mine who had nothing but secured credit lines. And so she utilized them. We got her to a certain point. I told her to apply for a Navy Federal credit card. I told her which one to apply for, and she was approved for $20,000 unsecured line of credit. And so I told her, now you can close out the secured because you no longer need them.
Okay. Well, the next one that come in the mail, I'm going to apply for it. Okay.
Now there are some that I can, if you don't have any, I am sponsored with, I can give you a list of what I suggest to my clients and what I have my clients get. Because again, I believe in the knowing what happens, right? Yeah. So if you apply for one, it may be a good one, it may not, but the secured ones that I suggest are ones that I suggest to all my clients, and I have them use, and it's what's helped them build their credit. And then I have them pull the trigger on unsecured lines. And so, but now one of the things people don't like about secured credit is the fee, the annual fee. But they don't realize once your credit gets to a certain point, guess what? The heavy hitter cards come with an annual fee. I got 2 of them in my wallet right now. The one is $199 a year, I think, and I got the Chase Sapphire card. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
2 something maybe. I'm not sure. A year. The
Mm.
AMX, the black cards and stuff. Or you gonna pay them to carry just to have the privilege of carrying that card. There's
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So the secure card is like practice for the big dogs. Like, I'm gonna give this
For the big
$29 fee to
Absolutely.
see if you go to. Okay. I don't apply for when it said annual fee. I'm skipping. I'm like, nope. I'm not gonna pay a fee.
There will be secured cards will come with an annual fee. Now I do skip. So the Chase Sapphire card is one that is a hard card to get. Right. So I applied for it because it's a hard card to get. They don't approve everybody. Not too many people can get it. It's a titanium card. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see if I can get this card. So I got it, but it does come with a fee. And they're like, and it is one of the higher interest rate cards that I have in my wallet.
Okay.
And so I don't use it very often. Navy Federal is my lowest interest rate.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. I have the Navy Federal,
for
and
that one. I'm hearing Navy Federal a lot when I talk about credit. So
if you can get in with them, it's a great. I bank with them, and then I have credit cards with them. I love them.
yeah, I was about to say that most, and it kind of ties. And I had 2 other questions, but which is one would be just the differences between credit unions versus conventional banks. And just the differences between those credit cards and how they really establish and help out credit.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I prefer credit unions. Because I find them to be more customer friendly.
credible.
You'll be more inclined to get things from credit unions. They are people friendly, especially Navy Federal. Now, on the flip side, if you ever had a charge off for Navy Federal, you will never get anything else from them until you pay them what you owe.
That's true.
That's how they work. So if you had a credit card with Navy Federal that was a charge off, if you want another card with them, then you have to pay them what you owe them. But there are several that are like that. American Express is like that. Discover is like that, and I think is it Citibank? Citibank, I think, is like that. But they listen. No, is it Capital One? Somebody, I think Capital One.
I think it's Capital One.
Capital One, not Citibank, but Capital One. And American Express don't care. You gonna pay them? They be like, run me my money. Oh, you want a card from me? I don't care how high your score is. Run me my money. Listen,
which is a good thing, right? Because you don't want to just keep running it up, and Well,
I feel like they've already written it. So I didn't want to get. So they already wrote the debt off, right? They've already gotten their money. So they wrote the debt off. So they got paid that way. They typically get paid twice. So then I pay them. Now you got paid again. So, or they sold it to. They typically get paid twice. They write the debt off, and then they sell the debt. So, and then if I pay it, now you got paid 3 times on the same debt. So, but I learned the hard way with debt consolidation years ago over credit card. So years ago, I was in like 750s, and I had credit cards, and I'm paying it off, and it wasn't a burden. And but I'm like, man, Jesus will be back before I debt on this credit card. Like it was gonna literally take me like 10 years, even making more than the minimum payment. It was gonna take me like 10 years to pay all the cards off because I had larger balances, not huge balances, but larger balances across. I'm like, Jesus, okay. So I did not know, and this is before I got into credit repair. So lesson learned, and everything happens for a reason. So I found this debt consolidation company for credit cards. And so they told me, hey, we'll pay your debt. You don't pay them anymore. You pay us. And I was like, oh, cool. And then what they gave me was a lower monthly payment than the one I was paying across all the cards. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I was looking for. No. So they took my credit from a 750 to the 500s when they were done. It was all said and done, and I had to just cancel. So what happens is with debt consolidation companies for credit cards, they're telling you don't pay them, right? But they're letting you go 6 months without making a payment on those cards, which will, by that point, put you into collections, and now it's a charge off on your credit. So your credit is taking a hit. Right. And so for me, I think I took like a 200-point hit. It took me from 750s to 500s. I cried and cried. I was so distraught because they didn't disclose that that's how that was going to work. And I was paying them a fee for something that I could have done myself. I could have just called the company and asked for a settlement arrangement because that's all they did. But they were charging me every month for 6 months and then calling the company saying, hey, whoever they told them they were to me. And I hired them and they were negotiating a settlement on my behalf. So don't do that. Okay. I say you never want to do that. You come out better doing the, what do they call it? The snowballing method, where you pay off the highest interest card first, make the minimal payments on the others, get that one paid off, and then you pay off the next one with the highest interest rate and do the same thing, rinse and repeat, they say. So
right, to take that money that you're already paying the other card with and just add it to the money that you to pay the next one, because the money is already accounted for anyway. And that's something that I think that people forget about, even when it comes to if you're buying a car, and this is, something I direct to you, Daphne, and see what your thoughts on it are. Because I know that's something that we did when we have multiple cars. And once we paid off one of the cars, we said, well, we're already budgeted for this money to be gone anyway. So let's just take this money and let's take it to the other car to pay off the other vehicle. So now it helps expedite the payment in that. But there are some debts or some lenders that won't take that money and apply it to principal. So you have to make that call and let them know, I want you to apply this extra funds that I'm paying on top of this bill or this debt and apply it to principal. Don't put it to the interest. I'm paying you extra money for my principal balance, because there is a difference between the two. And I heard you say earlier about paying the extra funds towards your credit. And sometimes there are credit cards too you have to have that conversation with, because it's not automatic.
Absolutely. And that is a great technique. And I even, so once I paid off a vehicle, I would continue to put that amount of money in a savings account every month. Because I love that. I mean, you hadn't missed it. And so
I do break down.
So I would just keep putting it in, into a savings account and let it build up that way. And but that's a great point. And I think they just recently sold my mortgage, and that's one of the things that I would do. And they sold it to PNC Bank or whatever. And so she's like, "Oh," I said, "Well, can you pay ahead?" "Well, you got to call us and let us know." I said, "What now?" So they seem like they're going to be one of those companies that, if you're putting anything extra towards the principal, you got to call them, which I think in today's day of technology is definitely a trap. They want interest, because why can't I just do it online? Why do I have to be inconvenienced by calling in?
It's a rate limiting step that they want to implement. It's just ridiculous.
It is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Oh, but I digress. I'm going to digress here. But I said all that to say about the credit card consolidation, because I had a black Amex card that I loved. Unlimited. I could put whatever I want on it. I was like, oh, I'm in the big league. So, So then that card got charged off. So I go to apply, me and my little 800 credit score, like, I'm good. Go to apply. They're like, decline. So. So the moral of the story is I will never have an Amex because I'm not paying them.
I don't blame. I don't blame. I've been there before, and I said the same thing. I'm like, I am not doing it. And Daphne, you probably won't remember, but I kept telling you, I was like, I am not paying that. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. And you're like, okay, well, if you do, then this will happen. But I stood my ground. I was like, I am not paying that debt.
Yep. I'm like Kenny Rogers. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold.
When to fold them, that's right.
Well, I'm like, listen, I'm not, no. So, but yeah, so Amex is definitely one. Navy Federal is one. Inquiries. I do want to mention to people, because a lot of times there is a way to get inquiries removed. I had a because I no longer sell the guides, but I had a 48-hour inquiry removal guide that a lot of people would get their inquiries removed. So if you dispute an inquiry, because a lot of people, like we talked about car loans, they'll come and say, oh, well, they ran my credit 50 million times and now they want to get those inquiries removed. Well, if you dispute an inquiry on an open account, they're going to close it.
Yep.
They're going to close the account, and they may also, because the only reason that you should be disputing inquiries and for inquiries to get removed is for fraudulent. They were fraudulent. So in order to get them to be removed, you have to tell them, okay, I don't recall doing it, or it wasn't me, or whatever the case may be. But if you do that on an open account, they are going to close it, and they will sometimes even put you on a list, and you will never have access to them again. Navy Federal is one that is notorious for that. So if you got anything from them, they closing out all your whatever. Yeah. So, you really want to be mindful when disputing inquiries.
So I pulled this up, Daphne, to ask about Experian Boost. What's your thoughts on that? Because I'm a firm believer, and I tell anyone and everyone to go ahead and do the Experian Boost because it actually helps.
It does. That's one of the ones that I promote in the group as well. Experian Boost, and what they do is, if most people say, well, oh, I don't want to link my accounts to it or whatever. What's the credit bureau? They already see whatever you got on your credit. They know your credit.
Right.
I mean, they got your
That's your social security number, ain't it?
What is Experian gonna do with data that they already have in their system? Well, I don't want to give them my bank account. Okay, yeah, you don't want to give them your bank account information, but it's okay for them to have your social. Yeah, that makes sense. So. Anywho, but it is great, and it is an immediate boost. And what they do is they look for accounts that you pay monthly, whether it's your cell phone, your light bill, your whatever, and they look for that to boost your scores. And I'm glad that you did mention that. When it comes to buying a home, I heard that the FICO 10T that is coming out, Fannie Mae, they are coming up with a version that is going to be different than the traditional mortgage scores, where now they're going to consider how you pay your bills as well. So now so right now, and what I mean, well, how you pay your bills, they do look at that, but the non-traditional ones that don't end up on your credit, like your rent, your light
your
bill,
water bill, your light bill, your
water bill. So
utilities.
Now they're going to take that in consideration, how well you pay those things, in hopes of helping people get mortgages or not. Depending on how to pay
them. long time ago.
Or
I
not.
should have done that a long time ago.
It's never.
Because I'll be honest. Anything that don't, because sometimes I forget to pay stuff. Right now, I don't forget to pay stuff that goes on my credit that's being reported every month, right? Like if it's gonna be reported, I'm all over. But a cell phone bill, they'll be like, "Hey, stupid, you forgot to pay your bill." Oh, okay. Well, let me go do that now.
Right.
Anything that does not report on my credit, I'm kind of nice. I'm like, okay, I'll go and pay them. I think I just missed my water. They're like, no, it was the internet. And I was like, hey, I was just watching something last night. What's going on? And so I go look at my account. They're like, oh, your account has been suspended. I'm like, okay, so I went and paid it.
Yeah.
So
it's funny.
That could help, or it
Yeah.
might case, it probably wouldn't help me because I'm like, but
I'll work.
All right.
Yeah.
Dude, I was about to say is that I work in a space of automation, so most of, if not all of our bills that we got is automated. So I have a bank account just for my bills, and we budget and know exactly how much goes out each month, and so we put all of our money to automatically be paid from that one account. And we put that money in there during the beginning and the middle of the month so that it covers those. So we don't have that same situation because we've been in that spot before. Like, what is the internet? The kids are crying about their tablets not working. Jesus, what is happening? So we had to implement something else.
It's like my water. So I will, in a moment of transparency, I've had people double debit. And I don't like the automatically anything. The only thing that I have set up automatically is the credit cards that have the annual fee on it, because they'll hit that, and I'm like, what, So I have those set up to automatically pay. But other than that, I've been hit with being double because you're giving them access to go into your account pretty much at any time and take whatever. And when they do it, you're like, I don't know anybody, when they hit them twice, it's like, oh, it's a mistake. And then they just want to apply it to whatever the next. I mean, it's not like they're giving you the money back. So so that's the reason why I personally don't do it. But a lot of people.
I'm going to knock on all pieces of wood because I have yet to experience that myself. So we don't want those demons this way.
Or have you and did not.
Oh, no, I would know.
Yeah, I've had to stop it. I'm like, no, I'll pay it. So.
No, you know me, Clover. I'm a little anal. I know if a penny's missing. So.
I bet money kept coming out. They were taking like 2 payments per month, and I honestly didn't catch it. I didn't catch it like $3,000 a month. And I'm like, wait a minute. But what did they do? Exactly what Daphne said. Oh, we'll just apply it to the next. And it's like, no, I want my money back. But unfortunately, it didn't work like that. So.
I got all sorts of alerts and everything. So, I mean, being prime military, and I use USAA as one of my primary pays. So they have a lot of gates, if you will, when it comes to output and input of funds. So you can put in a lot of formulas and conditions in there, like this is how much for a month for this one entity is going to receive. So they'll allow you to do that, which helps out tremendously. So I guess that's probably the reason why I haven't experienced that. But I wish, I wish you would, take my money to tell me you ain't gonna give it back to me. Get some furniture moving.
all I heard in my head was "Nuck if you book."
Right? That's right. Hey. That's right.
I was getting ready to get crunk. I'm telling you. Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, I just have one last question for myself personally. I wanted to ask if the ladies are okay with that, and that was just surrounding. I know I've heard that the credit bureaus mentioned independently are Equifax and Experian, but just for our listeners to understand that there are 3 of them, right? Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So if you wanted to just give a little tidbit about the importance and which one of the 3 is mostly used when it comes to auto or mortgage, I think that would be helpful.
That's a good question because I've always.
It absolutely is, and I'll start with saying that I hate the credit bureaus, all 3 of them.
Yes.
I just have to put that off my chest, right?
Yes.
And reason being is most people think that the credit bureaus are government entities, and they are not. They are private companies who have access to all the negative data on your credit report, and they are benefiting from that negative data, and they are making a profit. And it is a multi-billion-dollar company. So they're basically selling that data to so you go get a car, the credit bureaus are taking the data that they've compiled on you, and they're selling it to whomever pulls your credit. So I absolutely despise them. with a passion. And I
Yeah.
think that they have so oftentimes they'll make credit repair harder than what it has to be. I know when I was repairing my credit, it was something that was just wrong. That shouldn't have been on my credit. And I'm like, hey, this should not be on my credit, yada, yada. And they fought me tooth and nail, even though I was correct. And they did not want to get it removed. And that's because they were making money by reporting.
Yeah.
And so I went over their head to the CEO. I had to complain to the CEO of, I think it was it Experian, the CEO of Experian, and I told them that I would sue them because I had the paper trail of my past credit reports. Because what happened was they went in and they changed some data, and I'm like, but something should have been off my credit, but but because I had an old credit report from like 5 years before that from annualcreditreport.com, I saw when it shifted. I'm like, but who changed it?
You're right.
So because I had the paper trail, it ended up getting deleted, but I'll get off that soapbox. But I absolutely hate them. But they are three. They are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And now, which one is going to be pulled is typically dictated by where you live in the country, and I don't think people realize that. So I'm on the East Coast, so for us it's Equifax. Most companies report to and pull from Equifax. People in Midwest, it depends on where the credit bureau is located as to which one they're going to pull first. So that's typically how so whichever one is closest to you, that's the one that they're going to pull first. They may pull all three, or they may pull one, or they may pull two. And then even with creditors, they may report to one, they may report to two, or they may report to all three, which is why your credit scores are different between all three of them. It just depends on who the creditors chose to report to, because there is a fee to report. And so sometimes they may just for me, they may want to do Equifax because Equifax is in Atlanta. And so they may want to do that one because they feel like, okay, if anybody's going to pull it, they're going to pull that one and it's going to do the most damage. So which one is definitely dictated by where you live, what region you're in, and by the creditor, whether they want to actually put the stuff on all three, one or two, and that kind of stuff. So did that answer your question?
It does. And then also I think explains too why you have some items that may be on one creditor on one credit report and not on the all three, or some that may be on two or three, and that why the numbers are different, right? At times, as far as your payment and your status. So that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. Now if they're on all three, then the data, all of the data has to align. And it has to be the same across the board. And if it's not, that's a strategy that you can use, because the credit bureaus are only allowed to report accurate data. Well, if all three of them have something different, then it's not accurate. And so that's a key point that we as credit repair specialists use to get things removed.
I love it.
Okay.
Y'all know I'm not feeling too well, so when that camera goes off, it's just me trying to get my life together over here. So I know it's very rude. I am still listening, but I just have to.
No, this is a perfectly imperfect show, so we don't,
Yeah, that's why I did make the disclosure early on that I'm not feeling too good, but I had to show up, so I am here. I know my voice is out, but I'm here. So, Daphne,
we appreciate you for it, and
we on everything.
So, as we do on every show, we have what we call the note box. This is random, very random. It has nothing to do with credit at all, or maybe, I don't know. But we pull a note from the box and we start with the guest of the day, and we just ask you to tell us the first thing that comes to mind when you think of this topic. Be prepared, because it could be anything. Listen, I had everything from my godson put notes in here, friends of mine put notes in here. It could be something random. So just that's a disclosure. I'm going to just reach in here and pull out a note. So
I'm ready.
Okay? And if you guys are watching, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. It helps with the algorithms. It helps us get our videos and stuff seen quicker. Mom is calling me. I'm coming, Mom. Okay, so here we go. This note says, okay, the top 3 reasons relationships end. I don't know if you guys can see that. The top 3 reasons. And we're going to start with Miss Daphne. What are the top 3 reasons you think?
How much time we got? I thought the show was almost
about maybe 5 more minutes. So we're going to rush to this.
Jesus. Okay, so I will say I've been married twice. One I got rid of, and the other one passed away. So I will say infidelity. I will say that lying spirit.
The spirit is telling me
lying,
lying,
not lion, as in Leo.
Yeah, okay. That lying spirit.
Right.
God, what would be a third one?
Bad credit, maybe.
You said finances.
Yes, credit. Your credit ain't good.
Finances.
Just tied into the show. Antonio, what about you? What do you think? 3 reasons.
Oh my goodness. I would definitely have to. Actually, I think Miss Daphne hit on all of them. To be honest with you, I mean, infidelity is one of my non-negotiables. Any type of physical, mental abuse, I think would be one that's a reason to walk away and say, okay, we need to go ahead and roll out from here. And then lack of security. If I don't feel secure in that relationship for whatever reason, if you've bred insecurity or gave us an environment to where we're not secure or comfortable with one another, that would be a reason for me. So that could come in the form of financial. It can come in the form of just not feeling safe in your home. It can come in the form of you feeling like you're about to step out and do something crazy. Whatever that is. If I don't feel like this is working because security is not there, I don't feel secure any longer. Yeah.
And 3.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, I thought I heard 2. Okay.
Yeah, it was 3.
I would say abuse for sure, whether it's mental or physically. 2 would be, I don't know. I guess just the person not being there, like supportive, like if you're not supportive. And 3, maybe like some sort of addiction, whether it's gambling, drug.
Okay.
Yeah.
My 3 will probably be the lack of the skills. Like they weren't brought up in a household where they were taught how to coexist with their partner. Self-gratification. Everyone's about themselves. Maybe their egos is like, I want my relationship this way. Or they're on 2 different paths in life. This person, although we look together, we blend together, but I want to do this and I want to do that. So we just break up,
Okay.
I was gonna say growing apart. Just grow apart.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
another show.
Yeah.
Grow apart after being, together for a long. Can you really grow apart after somebody?
Actually, that happened with my first. So I was like 21 when I met my first husband, right? And so who I was then wasn't who I turned in to be, right?
Yeah.
So I was all about trying to build and have and do and get to that next level in life, and he wasn't about that, and so
Yeah.
he didn't want anything out of life, and he wasn't trying to do anything in life, and so we were on different paths, and so once we got on that, it was just we were unequally yoked at that point.
Come on, hey. And I said that last episode.
Okay.
Got to be equally yoked. If not, the relationship has expired, honey. Yeah.
Right, throw it in the trash.
Expired relationships. Yeah.
I think y'all should do an unequally yoked session. So you need to do hashtag unequally yoked, and then there should be a hashtag. What was it? Double minority in the workplace.
Okay,
Yeah.
put that down.
Yeah.
In the notes. We did an episode on expired relationships, so I think that's part of being unequal.
Yeah, the last one we just did, but I like the minority one I mentioned before. I mentioned that before. I was just to that point real quickly. I was just recognized by my organization for being a veteran, and thank you, and and a coworker of mine, we were saying, they got a 3-in-1 with me. They was like, what do you mean? I said they got a military veteran that is Black and gay. So they got a 3-in-1, and they check their box on down their requirements list in order to make sure they hit me up on it. So
and it is a thing. I think, and although we know we're qualified, right? But it does make you wonder in your head, okay, why did you really pick me? Did you pick me for my qualifications?
Solely on my merit,
Because a lot of times you're chosen, but you're not given the fullness of the position.
Correct. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I think we have dispersed many gems. For those of you guys who may have caught the end of it, let's go back to the beginning and catch back up and get those gems that we've asked the questions of. I hope we answered everybody's questions about fixing credit. We've explained how credit is important to the very stability of your life financially. And I've learned a lot. I've learned that, annual fees and annual membership fees, whatever, for cards is not such a bad thing. So I'm going to take, my whole thing is discipline. So I'm going to work on my discipline and not getting credit cards with limits and feeling like I can max it out, just pay it back.
No, Miss Sophia.
And even the 30% is like the ceiling, and I don't want to reach the ceiling all the time just because it says 30%. So, and much more. So we thank you for having you on the show. We would love to have you come back on the show to talk about you also being the realtor specialist as well. We would love to do a segment on that, your expertise in that. So if you will, we would love to have you back.
I definitely will. And thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. This was awesome. Felt like I was just sitting around talking to friends. And so thank you for being so inviting. And I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
and I just want to confirm that you were sitting around talking to friends.
Well, look at that.
Right. That's it.
Listen, at least your mom ain't gonna ask you for no money though.
That's right.
Right. Okay. This information costs you nothing. The only thing
two or more gathered, honey.
This cost you guys were to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, follow Mrs. Daphne on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and collect your gems. Okay, it's free 99. Information that she's been advised not to give out. So consider yourself lucky, and you heard it here first on KNN.
That's right.
Thank you, Miss Daphne. Happy belated birthday again. As you all know, she did say
Thank you.
50 this year. So
that's right.
Oh my God, my sound effects went off. I'm sorry, y'all.
And then my heartfelt prayers and condolences to you on the loss of your husband.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Willing to come on here on our what some may think is a little show right now, but you better watch out.
Okay.
And it's here to stay. So thank you.
And just like repairing your credit is a process, and eventually we will see the fruits of the labor. I hope you guys have picked up the gems, and I hope you guys share this on all of your, social network. Just like she was able to share this information, please share this broadcast to people that's working on their credit, that may have some questions that we have answered. And until then, you guys, stay peaceful, stay positive, stay productive, but most importantly, stay blessed.
Blessed.
All
That's
right.
right.